This is Bonnie, and if you recall the last video that I did, we made these cute little mini album books, and today I'm going to show you how to make your pocket pages. There are a lot of videos out there in YouTube, and all of them have great instructions. This one is going to be for more of a custom photo, or not a photo, but a pocket page, to allow you to make any size mini books that you want to make. My suggestion too, as I thought of this after I made this, I could have made this for ATCs and I did not, but that's an idea for you to do by using these instructions. So what I did is I had to figure out what my pattern was going to be, and I decided that I wanted my pockets to open up at the top. So I made this instruction for the top opening, and it's fairly simple to just do one like this. There's a lot of things you can add to pocket pages, but this is the basic part of it. So all you need to do is get your book and your spine, and get I suggest for your pattern a lighter weight paper, even tissue paper, but this gives me a little bit more flexibility and stability at the same time. So what you want to do is line up the paper to the edge and put it down in between, because what's going to happen is this pocket is going to slide down on top of that little piece that's sitting up, and it's going to hold that in there, and that's how that's going to work. It's just going to, and it won't really slide because you'll have to pull it, it'll really go down. It depends if you use glue or not. But anyway, that's another story. But anyway, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to accomplish something that will fold over this little piece that we made in our last video. Actually, I need to go this way with this paper. I can tell from the length. Okay, so what I did is I pulled that all the way down so that it pretty much hit where it was creased. And then I laid this down and I looked at it and I said, okay, it cannot extend beyond the book, right? So what I did is I made a little crease just inside. You can see how that would be. I made a crease just inside. That is going to be my first marking. Then I went down to the bottom, which is again going to have to fold up. In a way, it's going to have a little bit of a flap. I have to extend this bit because it's going to fold up so that I can seal the bottom of my pocket. So again, I looked at this, saw where the measurement was going to be, and I creased that there, and then I'm going to add about 1/2 inch. Now, you can see how I have my 2 creases there, right? All right, so on that crease right there, I'm going to completely fold my paper in half. You're going to have to make sure you have enough paper that you'll be able to do that. And usually in order to know that, you can double your paper the size of your book, more than double. And that's going to be my first crease that I know that I need. That means this is excess down here. Then this is my next crease that I made right there. I need to add about that 1/2 inch. It could be more than 1/2 inch, whatever you want it to be, but it needs to be more. And so what I do is I bring my paper cutter over and I look at where that crease is at the bottom, and I'm going to add like about 1/2 inch. I'm not really measuring it. It's about 1/2 inch or so. And all I'm going to do is make sure this is all lined up square, and I'm going to go ahead and cut that. All right, and then I'm going to rotate it and cut that excess off that I showed you about. We don't need that. And that's the basic part of my page. Then the next thing I needed to do is I needed to make this flap. I'm going to show you what this looks like folded. I need to make this pattern. So again, like I said, I see where my crease is right there. So I know it has to be cut at least right there. Now you can draw a line, make that perfectly straight. I'm going to be eyeing it. And I don't need that excess right there. And I'm only cutting to that crease. Okay? I don't need that. Now, this part is going to be my flap. Okay? And you always cut this little bit of a corner off on each side. But I'm not going to know where that crease is here, right? So in order to do that, I'm going to fold this up, make sure that's straight, and I'm going to cut that little bit of a corner off. Just like that. That's how you make your pocket pages. Now, once you get going, there's a couple of things to tell you. But this flap will end up being on top when you glue it down. And the reason for that is so if it's on the inside, it's hard to put, whatever you put inside, it'll get stuck up on that little lip down there. If it's on the outside, it's better. Now, I'm going to be putting pieces on top of this so this won't show. So if I see that anything is not lined up straight, I will trim that back and make it so that it works. So that's basically what we'll be doing. And then what you do is you're going to need 3 of these, or as many as these little pages that you made, your little parts that we made before. You need, in this case, I need 3. So now I'm going to decide what paper I'm going to use, and I will trace this out and make 3 of them. And I'll be back. Okay, so I went ahead, I have my pattern like I told you, and I went ahead and got some scrap cardstock that I had. You can use anything, but in this case, I wanted to stay with the white theme, and so that's why I went ahead and I traced this out with a pencil, and I cut this one out using my cutter. But for this bottom part down here, I'm just going to eye it and just cut. Now, if you find, I did it with a pencil. I drew around with a pencil. And if the pencil lines bother you, you can just erase them. And that is that side, and then this is this side. Now, what I did when I traced around it, I wanted to have some idea where I know my creasing line is right here. But the top I wasn't going to be 100% sure, so I went ahead and took my pattern and I put a little pencil mark right there at the top, so I knew where that would be scored. So basically then I can take my little scoring tool and I can line that up with a line down here at the bottom and the line up here at the top. And that can be my score. And that should work. And so then I can just go ahead and fold that in, and even that pencil mark will be inside, but I can just, like I said, erase it. And so that is basically my card that way. And if you really feel the need to score that part, you can score that part too. Otherwise, I just flip them up. They're small enough, and it's not going to be that big of a deal. So that's all I do. And like I said, then this part right here will be glued to the top. Now, if I have a problem with this bending, I'll come back here and I'll just trim like a sliver off and make sure everything is square when I go to put that in. So that's what I did for the pocket. I'm going to be doing that, like I said, 3 times, and I did already trace around those 3 times. Now, I also know that I'm going to be putting tags inside of these. So I went ahead and measured that off too. Now you have 2 options. You can have your tag so that it will extend beyond the book, knowing that it could get bent up, or you can make it smaller and have be just enough so that you can pull it out. One other option is to use your hole punch. And this is about, I think it's less than an inch, but it doesn't matter. One that would fit into your custom, and I don't even know if I want mine to be that big, to be honest with you, but I would go like that, and I would punch that, and that would be my, that would be the first thing that I would do before I put anything together, because it's too hard to put this in between a pocket and then try to shove this in there. Doesn't work. But I think in this case, I pulled this one out thinking I was going to use it, but I want a smaller one. So I'm not going to make it that big. But that's what I'm going to do, and I'll show you that in a bit once I get my other punch. But that's the basic thing. You need 3 of these if you decide to do 3 pages, and you're going to need 3 tags. And I try to get all those lined up and what I'm going to do, and then I'm going to show you some fun stamping for it. That's it. Oh, before I do the fun stamping, I'm going to show you how I attach each one of those pages. All right, so I have my 3 pages made, and I found a die that worked really well for the size that I wanted. It's about 3/4 of an inch. Again, you want to do it based upon whatever custom pages you're doing. And I also found in my stash a die that would work really good for the tags. So I went ahead and also made those, and they're just going to be sliding in there. So the next thing to do is to attach these, but what I wanted to show you is once I got this done, I noticed that when I would flip this up, where's the one? Oh, here it is. That it was hanging over a little bit. If you can see what I'm saying, it kind of hangs over. And all you need to do to fix that is to trim that back a little bit. And then it won't hang over. And if it does, you can trim that back. So I am going to be using glue because it is a little bit more forgiving for me to slide it around once I get in there. If I use the double-sided score tape, which is nice and secure, I have a problem with, I totally have a problem with it moving around. So lots of times people will go ahead and put this all together and then they slide that in. I like to be able to see a little bit better of what I'm doing. And so I'm going to go with that. I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to put the glue on a little bit so I can see what I'm doing. And I think I'm going to do the back one first so I can see things going forward. So yeah, like that. So a little bit of glue. I am questioning exactly how much glue, but this is going to work. So a little bit of glue, and I'm going to line that up just like that and push that down. Now with double-sided tape, I know that it's going to adhere and I don't have to wait for it to dry. But we're going to see what we can do as we're going. So then the next thing I need to do is put this part on this side like that. So again, a little bit of glue. And I'm going to fold that. Still putting a little bit of pressure on there too, because like I said, normally I would wait a little bit. And make sure that it adheres to that. Let's see here. I think that needs to be slid up just a little bit closer. And because I already put some glue on that, I'm gonna, this is real time, I'm gonna go ahead and do it now. Just have to make sure that it's down in there close enough to the score line. And that is how you're going to be adding your pages. Now, I'm flipping this over, and then this part right down here at the bottom needs to be glued up. And again, I could have used score tape for this. This wouldn't have been an issue. But I've got the glue out. So it actually looks, in a way, like a mailing envelope that you would, manila envelope. That's kind of like the look of it. So that's your page. And then you're going to be decorating it and putting things on top of here. But that's how you're going to add each one of your pages. Okay? All right, so I have all of the pocket pages attached, as you can see. And each one of these is going to be getting a piece of paper over the top of it like this. And for me, you can measure that if you want to. Again, they're all custom, so the sizes will be different. But what you do is you just take a piece of paper, and what I am using is, this is the digital paper in Lavinia World store, and it is called Watercolor, and you can make it any size you want so that you can measure and get the right proportion for your book, and it's not too large, not too small, whatever you want with digital paper, which is kind of cool. And you only print off what you need. So what I did was I kept my, keeping my original template. I actually put the paper and allowed about 1/4 of an inch all the way around. And then this is basically what I did, is I just again folded that. That's my crease to know where to cut it. And the same with at the bottom. And then I go ahead and then I cut those out and ended up with pieces that would fit inside. Now for the back side, remember we did that little bit of a hole punch. So in order to do that one, so that it fits, is you want to take a piece of paper like you cut out like this, put that over the top, and get your hole punch or get your die and line that up. Tape that down. I would tape that down and bring that over to my die cutter. And then I would have pieces for the front and the back. Then for the tag, I did the same thing. I just decided where I wanted the paper. I folded it, creased it, and then I cut it out. And I'm going to put this on the front and the back of the tag. So I have many designs that I can make for this little book. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we have 3 tags, so now there are 6. So that would be a total of 12 designs that you can do for your mini album. You can add your own little pictures, or you can actually do some more stamping. I am going to go ahead and do some stamping and show you what they all are at the very end. And I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial so far, and let me show you in a little bit what I did. Okay, so I have finished the pages for the book, and I have also made some little tags to go inside. And I'm going to go ahead and show you each page and what I used. So let's see if we can get that glitter so you can see the glitter too in there. Okay, so what I used for this page was Fairy Foragers. And this one is, whoops, got this one mixed up with what page is what's on the back. That is LAV498. And then I also used the Meadow mushrooms, and that is LAV563. See, I got those things upside down and put the wrong things in the packages. So anyway, I just used the top of that mushroom, and then I went ahead and made a little circle there. The other thing you need to know as we're going, I'll do that at the end. I'll tell you about each one of these is from the Lavinia stamps too. They're I'm gonna put that a little bit closer. They're from the all of their sentiments. Okay, so then the next page. Oh, and each one of these has a tag, and that tag that would go in here is this tag. And let's see here if I can show you the right. I don't have those in order, so I'm not going to have to be able to show you the tags later because I have them in a different order in my pile. So the next page is the inside page. And it says, every dream begins with a wish. And I used the fairy orb, or mini orbs, for the moon. And that's LAV595. And that's what I used for the moon. And I colored it in and added a little bit of the glitter. And then I used the everything pretty much, it's probably for the most part minis. So it's kind of like a mini album. This is LAV453 Dragon Mini. Or, see, no, I messed these up. I put them in the wrong packaging. That's Castle Mini. Oh, goodness. Let me do that again. Okay, the Castle Mini, because I've got them in the wrong packaging, is LAV215. And then the Dragon is LAV213 Dragon Mini. I wonder if I did that for very many more. Okay, so, and then I used the tree line right there. And I also used this tree right here, if you can see that. And I actually stamped these a couple times on top of each other to kind of raise them up. And that is LAV219 Tree Scene. So that's that page. And then the next page, and you can see the glitter on there too. And that I cut up from, again, the sentiment. I just used, the stars are shining, the moon glows bright. And on this one, hope I did this right, Stars Mini, LAV152. I had so many stamps out, I can see why I kind of messed up putting them back in the right spots. Okay, and then that was the Star Mini up here, and I did several of those. And then I used the pine cone as my little tree for the bunny, or you could say it's a bush, and it's LAV624 Mini Pine Cone. And then I used Pipin, and Mini Pipin, and it's LAV581. And then I also used the Fairy Orb. I used the largest one in that set, and that is LAV377 Fairy Orbs. Okay, and then the last page, she actually is the perfect size, a little bit off the side, but it really worked well. And she is LAV034. Worked really well. Okay, so those were the pages. Now inside each one of these holds the tag. And this tag went inside of this one. And I used this right here, LAV021 Christmas Tree Group. And then on the back side, I used Mini Snail 433. And I also used the Mini Branch LAV511. And I already said trees on the other side. So that's that one. And I add a little bit of glitter down below. And again, this is from one of the sentiments, and I'll show that to you soon. And then on this one, I used, oops, I'm sorry, this is the next one. And that is the Mini Bee, and that is 132. And I also used the Tree Hive set. They're very mini, as you can see, and they go perfect with a bee. And that is LAV600. And then on the back side, I used LAV202 Large Owl, and I just stamped a little bit of him. You can see the glitter I forgot to show you on the bee's wings. And then the last tag, this fit perfectly on the tags that I did for my mini album. And that is LAV453 Secret Passage. And I just did a little bit of coloring with, add a little bit of color from my Prismacolor pencils to the little bit of the door. The rest of it was totally the paper I told you about that I used. Everything was stamped on We Are 3 digital paper that is found in the Lavinia World store. That's called Watercolor. All of this paper I used was stamped on that. And then the back side is Dust Silhouette, Fairy Dust Silhouette, LAV453. And again, I just put a little bit of her on, and I added a little bit of glitter to her pixie dust. And then I also used the mini crown, which is LAV622. So that is all the tags that I used. And then in terms of the sentiments, this is Every Dream Begins with a Wish, and that is LAV573, and that was the mini, or the page in the middle. And then I stamped up this set and just cut a lot of those apart, and that is LAV025, Fairy Words. And then the other sentiment that I showed you that I used, which was on this page, The Stars Are Shining, the Moon Glows Bright, was from this sentiment. And I just used this top one and then I cut it apart. And that one is LAV517, Moon Glows Bright. The other things that I used from the Lavinia World store, so that completes the entire mini album, and I hope you enjoyed that. And I wanted to show you how they all fit back in. I did put some sparkly trim on each of the tags to help with a little bit of magic of our little mini album. And so that completes our little mini album. And so I wanted to show you really quickly some of the other things I used from the store. And that was VersaFine Clear Nocturne. Everything was stamped either in this ink or it was stamped in the Morning Mist. And then I did a lot of shading using Distress Oxide Chipped Sapphire. I also used Distress Oxide Scattered Straw for the inside of the moon. I just rubbed a little bit inside of that moon. And then I also used a little bit of Distress Oxide Picked Raspberry, and that is what I used on the outside of that moon right there. And then when I went to stamp all of the images on, or all of the sentiments onto the black paper, I used the milled lavender, and I used clear embossing powder and the Nouveau clear embossing powder to set it, and that's what I used for all of the sentiments that you can see in here. So that is the entire that's the entire project. I hope that you enjoyed that. I hope that you will share this and that you will like it, and that you will subscribe if you haven't already. And every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, our DT will share a tutorial with you. I hope you come back. Thanks so much.